almost felt bad for Amir. But then I remembered he fears my kind. So why should I feel bad? Welcome to La Vida Rosa. I'm your host, Pinky, and today we're going to be talking about Summer House Martha's Vineyard Season 2 Reunion. So if you'd like to see more, then just stay tuned. But before we begin, I would like for everyone to check out my website, La Vida Rosa Style, where you can find cute accessories like the ones I'm wearing right now. I'm having a huge sale right now, so make sure y'all hit that link down below and check it out. Like, comment, and subscribe. Without further ado, let's get into this video. So before we get into this review, you guys, I had to acknowledge the fact that I just found out that Bravo had decided to put Summer House Martha's Vineyard on pause after 2 seasons. According to the article, the reality series has not been canceled, but a 3rd season has not been greenlit for this year after 2 consecutive years. A pause show doesn't mean it's canceled forever. An example of a show that was put on pause and returned is The Real Housewives of Miami. Even though the show isn't technically canceled, I think we can all see the writing on the wall. As much as I complained about some of the things of this show, I do think it was important. I did enjoy it, and I just felt like it had so much potential. And if it would have received a little bit more support, not only from the people, but also from the network, it probably could have done better. You know, different casting and things like that. I just feel like it really didn't get the chance it deserved to really succeed. And I just had to say that before I started the review because I'm heartbroken a little bit. But y'all let me know what y'all think about this down below. The reunion was good. I felt like it could have been better because in some instances I feel like it was rushed. I feel like some of the topics we were talking about, I wanted more follow-up questions. Like, I feel like we could have delved a little bit deeper. And I feel like they left too many important situations out. I really do think this reunion probably should have been 2 parts or extended because we didn't get a reunion last season. And there were things that needed to be addressed from this season and last season. So let's touch on the reunion looks really quick. I was very confused by what Jordan had on because everybody was wearing pink, and even though I guess you could consider her top a pink color, it just wasn't the same pink. And her outfit was very confusing. All of her pieces were nice pieces, but none of them went together. None of them. You have on this fruit roll up top, you have on this fuzzy blanket of a skirt, and then you have on these shoes, and none of them match. None, like, just take one of those pieces and make an outfit out of them. But you can't throw all of them together and just call it an outfit. It didn't make any sense. I thought Preston was cute in his suit. I just think he maybe should have worn an undershirt or something like that because when he sat down, you could see his stomach. I feel like Alex looked really nice in his suit. I didn't like the shoes, but I still think he looked nice. Amir looked a little childish, almost like a toddler. The girls' outfits were kind of basic, but at least at the bare minimum, the outfits were cute. And of course, Nick came out being the best dressed. Who thought any different? Nobody's giving Nick a run for his money. He's gonna slay every time, man or woman. Okay, he stays killing it. I love the suit. I love the open shirt. A lot of people were upset that the reunion was in the clubhouse, but like many others have said, the other shows, their first season, the reunion is held in the clubhouse. If the reunion gotta be in Andy's clubhouse, they gotta be in Andy's clubhouse. It could be just as messy there. And mind you, Andy gave some of the best reads of the night. I don't know what got into Andy. Like, normally he doesn't amuse me too much at these reunions. But at this one, I was like, you better get him, Andy. Get him again. Get him for me. So, you know, at the beginning of the reunions, he always goes through and, you know, introduces everybody and asks them how they're doing. And when he got to Amir, he said, has Natalie fully cut your penis off just yet? Everybody was taking it back, clutching their pearls, like, that's how we gonna start the reunion? He probably feels the way that you brought your girlfriend on the show. I don't know. But I'm just like, I thought
thought Amir was your fave. What happened?
They start talking about the whole Summer and Alex situation, and Alex claims that he communicated to her that he didn't want to be in a relationship with her, essentially, and she called him a lie. She's like, that's a lie. Let me tell y'all something. I'm gonna tell you right now, that look that she gave him reminded me of that look in The Lion King when Simba and Nala linked back up and she leaned back and kind of was giving him that. That's how she was looking at Alex. And when I tell you, if that man ever gave her a chance, she would be there in a heartbeat. She still want him. And it's really sad, to be honest. She basically said that he was lying, that he wasn't that upfront with her, and said that their relationship just fizzled out. And I'm just like, but you told all the girls in the kitchen that he said that he wanted to be an F-boy. That, regardless of the wording, to me that says he doesn't want to be in a relationship with you. How was he lying? And so she was talking all over him and trying to answer for him. And he was like, I think he was talking to me. Fall back, Autumn. Now, Alex, your performance on Watch What Happens Live and, you know, how he was responding to Summer. At first I was like, Alex don't need to come back. He too boring. But he have a little clap back in him. I feel like he kind of redeemed himself at this reunion. And he then asked Summer, why did you tell the entire table but you didn't tell your friend who was interested in him? And she claimed that she told Noelle, but Noelle barely let that lie leave her lips before she checked her. Noelle was really activated this reunion, especially towards Summer. She said that she told Noelle that they hung out and she expected her to just read between the lines. That's why I hate when people use the word hook up or hung out. Just be honest. Just say what it is, especially if you know the girl likes him. Be honest about that. Now, I also want to say this. I just got done watching this interview that Noelle did with Kempire, and she said the way that she met Summer was through her roommate that Summer was dating. And so she feels like Summer downplayed her relationship with Alex because she didn't want to mess up her relationship with Noelle's roommate. With that little piece of information, that does make it make more sense. Now, Noelle, where you get the side eye, when you did find that out and you confronted Summer and she told you, you still wanted to pursue Alex. She tried to downplay it, but it's like, girl, you made a fool out of yourself when you saw him entertaining other women and you just could not handle it. So clearly you were trying to get with Alex. That's a little flaw of you when you say that's something that you don't do. And why was that particular moment not addressed? That was a big moment of the season. But like I said, none of that let Summer off the hook. She was still very weird for encouraging her to talk to Alex and secretly wanting it to blow up in her face. You were trying to sabotage that whole thing because you still had feelings for that man and you can't tell me any different. Andy basically asked the question, how is Alex an F-boy when he has been clear on his intentions the entire time? Jasmine spoke up to defend Alex and say, you know, from what she's seen, he's really not like that. And then Summer doubled down and said that he called himself an F-boy. Alex was like, if I really wanted to be an F-boy, I would have gotten with Noelle. But I decided to do the right thing. I hate to admit it, but he's not wrong. Like, he could have done that and rubbed that all in Summer's face, but he saw how much drama that would have caused and he didn't do it. An F-boy, he would have done it regardless. And Noelle was over there trying to, how did I get in there? It wasn't even like that. Noelle, if he would have given you that energy, you would have been right there. So stop it. So then they bring up the whole picture situation, which was weird. It's one thing to text one of your close friends, yeah, me and Alex are hanging out. But it's another to take a picture without my knowledge and send it. And then on top of that, he had to hear it from Nick. So you really weren't even being discreet about it at all. And he's allowed to feel skeeved out or creeped out by that because it is a weird move to do. And Jordan has the nerve to defend Summer for doing that when you were literally crying last year when the men were trying to holler at you last year. You felt like that was so creepy and that they were objectifying you, but you don't see nothing wrong with somebody taking a secret picture of you and sending it to somebody else. If a man did this to you, you would call him all types of creeps and stalkers. So I do not want to hear it. I love the fact that they brought up at Watch What Happens Live, Alex told everybody that Summer was still recently leaving him voice notes like a crazy ex. That was a mic drop moment, first of all, when he first said it. But she confirmed it. She was like, I left a voice message. And then it made me so mad when Shanice, she thought that was her moment to speak up, because I wanted her to have to answer for those voice messages. But here goes Shanice. I'm just glad I'm not the crazy one in the group. Girl, I was feeling a little sympathy for you earlier this season when you was crying about it. But after seeing how you act in this house, I wouldn't be surprised if you was actually stalking that man. I really would. She made me mad because it changed the subject and we didn't get to hear what she was saying in the messages. So then Andy brings up Summer and Noelle's friendship, and they say they are cordial, but clearly Noelle in particular do not mess with Summer. Noelle said that her stories do not align with the truth. And I also, a part of me feels like Noelle is still trying to leave that door open with Alex just in case. I don't know. I could be wrong. But it felt like a little flirtatious energy between Alex and Noelle, even from across the room. I'm like, And so it's like both of them were kind of trying to set it in stone to the world and to each other that they don't fool with Summer no more. So that leaves the door open for them. That's just my thought. What do y'all think about that? So then we talk to Amir. Andy asks, does Natalie trust you? And he claims that she does. But she really keeps you on a very short leash and felt away. I'll never forget that moment on the show where you thought you saw Jordan walking by, like, oh, was that Jordan? And she got really upset that you even mentioned her. It's just giving insecure. And the fact that y'all couldn't be away from each other for a week or two without her being mad that you were around other women, it just lets me know she doesn't trust you. He's like, oh, it's a new relationship and we're trying to build trust. If you didn't do anything to lose my trust and we just got together, y'all should still be in the honeymoon phase. It's weird because I don't even think Natalie really likes him. I think she just wants to control him. So then they bring up the crass jokes that he made about her cutting off his member if he ever looked or flirted with another woman. And he said that's his way of joking, that she would just leave him. She wouldn't never go that far. And we know that's why you tiptoe around her acting like a servant. We know that. They brought up the fact that she downplayed his career and his salary, saying what he makes in a year, I make in a month. They said they came off very demeaning and emasculating, especially since it was just so unprovoked. He said, I chose to be with a powerful woman and he's secure. He doesn't feel any type of way of how she's treating him. And this is how I truly feel about Amir after watching this season. I feel like because he was raised around non-black people, I feel like he doesn't view himself as attractive, or he feels ugly in comparison to the white standards he compares himself to. And he feels like he's lucky to have her, like she's completely out of his league, not only monetarily but looks wise, and he's gonna do whatever he can to keep her and to make her happy, to make his preference happy. Andy asks the entire group who thinks Natalie is right for Amir. And when I tell you nobody raised their hand, the shade was thick. But then Jasmine and a couple of people tried to soften the blow. It was like, oh, but y'all look cute together though. Andy was asking how serious they are, and he basically said that they just closed on a house that they purchased together. And Andy was like, well, how long have y'all been together? And he basically said 1.5 years, which I'm like, y'all buying a house together after 1.5 years? And then I remember earlier in the season, they moved in fairly quickly together. He said that the mortgage is in his name and her name is on the deed. And Andy was like, what can go wrong? Sir, you are setting yourself up for failure, but if you don't want to see it, I'm not trying to show you. So then Andy asked, well, do you have a ring? And Amir was like, yeah. And Andy was like, well, when did she instruct you to propose? Andy was giving knockout punches every time he talked to Amir. Andy went in so bad on Amir that he had to apologize. A lot more people would have gotten upset, lashed out. He was taking a lot of bullets, which he deserved every single one. Don't get me wrong. I almost felt bad for Amir. But then I remembered he fears my kind. So why should I feel bad? And this is when Noelle tagged in. She said, why did you tell Natalie all the women in the house wanted you? And that everybody erupted with laughter. Like, boy, please, didn't nobody want you? You wanted Jordan. I wish somebody would have said that. You're the one who wanted Jordan and she didn't want you. Andy was like, I was wondering that myself. He said that somebody told him that Shanice wanted to sleep with him. And Shanice ended up admitting that one night she was down bad and she wanted to get with him. With Shanice, I would have carried that to my grave. Second of all, that's one woman. Why are you acting like everybody in the house wanted you? I don't know. But Natalie had nothing to worry about with you in that house. So then we had another summer segment and we had to address all of her greatest hits, no pun intended, from the house. And on the first question Andy asked her, she just bust out into tears. And, you know, Nick hands her a handkerchief in order for her to... I do believe Summer has trauma she has to deal with and heal from. I do believe that. But you cannot tell me she did not terrorize that house because she was a woman scorned. She was living in a house with a man that, in her mind, just completely dropped her and rejected her. And he was kind of having eyes for someone else that she brought on the show and being jealous of. And I feel like that's what sent her into a spiral. That's why she pushed Noelle. If you are still struggling with trauma from your childhood, which most of us are, if you're struggling with it that bad that you're lashing out on others, you need to stay home and you need to seek therapy quickly, because you are too old to be blaming your behavior on what you went through when you were a child. You can't use that excuse anymore. You have too many resources and your frontal lobe is fully developed. I'm not accepting that. Now, maybe if you had one or two incidents, it was the whole summer. And according to Noelle's interview that I just watched with Kempire, she also put her hands on Shanice at the Freaknik party. We already know she pushed Noelle. And they had a house meeting that wasn't shown. They were discussing whether or not Summer should stay. And Noelle said, if I can get my lick back, she can stay. And it was like, well, no, if you get your lick back, you're going to have to go home too. So pretty much, essentially, Summer was voted out instead of her just randomly deciding to go home 2 days before the vacation ended. And I thought, why was that not in the show? They did the audience a complete disservice by leaving it out. Maybe they don't want the show to look like a Fight Club or something. I don't know. I feel like that was pertinent information. I don't understand why she gets the sympathy of being hurt, and that's why she's acting out when Mariah didn't get that same benefit of the doubt. Mariah's situation of her just taking some dog clothes and shoving it into Bria's shoulder, that was not the same sort of energy that Summer was coming at Noelle with, and I'm sure that she was coming at Shanice with. She should have been ejected immediately. Her laying a smackdown on Bria last year that nobody wants to bring back up. They didn't even address that at the reunion either. She just got to cry her way out of it. I ain't gonna lie, this part of the reunion really disappointed me. The only thing that made up for it was the fact that Noelle and Alex were not having it, okay? Alex spoke up and said, is it possible to be going through issues and still treat people with kindness and decency? I'm like, did that even have to be said? The fact that Jordan decided to pipe up and say, well, she didn't have the tools to be a nice person. Of course you would defend that, Jordan, because you literally do the same thing. You go off on people for absolutely no reason at all as well. So I guess you can identify with that. But I'm sorry, as an adult, you should be able to control yourself. Nobody in that situation did anything to y'all to make y'all treat them that way. And then on top of that, you didn't like it when she was trying to use her being a shoulder for you to cry on when you were crying about your alopecia. You didn't like when she tried to throw that in your face. But I guess because she didn't have the tools to be a good person, we should all just overlook it. Speaking of her alopecia, she did say that it was getting better, but then she started getting more breakouts, and now she's going to be getting treatments to see if that will do anything to help. Andy basically said it was brave of her to speak about that. And then Andy asked Summer why she felt she couldn't open up to her friends, Jordan and Preston, about her issues. And basically her excuse was abandonment issues because her caregivers either left her, wasn't there for her, or people have used like sensitive information against her. She feels like it's hard for her to open up to others. It's crazy because in one instance I completely identify with Summer. I really do. Everything she said right there, completely. It's so hard for me to open up to people, even people I'm close with, right? But in the next breath, you do that to other people. You use private information that people told you in confidence and throw it in their face. You do that as well. You did that with Shanice. You did that with Bria. You did it with Alex, putting on Front Street that he was inside you. Can she not see the irony in what she's saying? But it was a really nice moment when Preston said that he wasn't leaving and he wasn't going anywhere, because that's something that she really needed to hear in that moment. And even though she's not in the best place with Jordan, she still considers her a friend. She did say that she ended up finding her biological dad through 23andMe, but she wasn't thrilled about it because she doesn't have any contact with him, but it is a source of closure. She has father figures in her life, and so she's not even looking for much to come out of that situation anyway. Andy asked, would she ever go on vacation again, and she said in small doses. I'm like, girl, only if you have a full year of therapy before you come back. So then Andy asked Preston about his relationship with Bria. He was throwing plenty of shade on Bria when he was at Watch What Happens Live, calling her annoying. And he let everybody know that she had blocked him before that whole situation. They have this, I don't even want to say a love-hate relationship, because it's like a fake love-hate relationship. They'll be like, I love you, but then they'll talk behind each other's backs. You don't like her. You don't. And it's okay. She's annoying. Nobody will be shocked that you dislike her. You don't want to be friends with her. Just admit it. Y'all are fake and passive aggressive, and y'all don't like each other. Period. She did bring up the fact that on the first season, when he first met her, he shaded her, and ever since then she felt slighted by him. But he said that you're only giving the story of what happened on camera. Off camera, I've been there for you when you were going through that situation overseas. I think it was a racial incident in France with French police. She called him and was crying on the phone to him, and he went out of his way to get her international law attorneys to help, with what she was dealing with. And he was like, I was there for you when Simon wasn't even there for you. And she was like, he was there for me. He got me out of jail. And Preston was like, be that as it may, you never said thank you for me doing that. And I don't know. I could see her being ungrateful. I could see her calling him just to help her get out of that situation and not even saying anything. I could see it. You don't like her. She doesn't seem to like you. Just let it go. Be cordial and move on. So then we talk about Simon and Bria's relationship. They've been together for 2 years. They were together pretty much every day in the beginning of their relationship. And now that it's long distance, it's becoming an issue because he's used to her cooking and cleaning. Is that what he misses about you? He doesn't miss your presence. He doesn't miss your laugh. He doesn't miss, I don't know, y'all having movie nights. He misses you cooking and cleaning. Yeah, y'all relationship sounds really transactional. Andy brought up the flamingo incident. She said she didn't like it because it was a very special event for Nick, and he was dedicating the evening to his line brother that had passed. And, she just felt like it wasn't the right place to do something like that. And she told him not to wear it unless he was by the pool, and he decided to bust out in the middle of the dance floor with it. And I still feel like he was being disrespectful, and he wouldn't do that at one of his all-white events. I just don't believe it. He clearly does not respect her or protect her. She said that herself. When people are being towards her. He doesn't check them. And you might say, well, she's bratty. She always has an attitude. Well, he chose that bratty woman with an attitude. That doesn't give you an excuse to let other people treat her that way. I don't like how they didn't bring any of that up at the reunion, because why are you still with someone who you accused of doing that? And like I said before, you better not have his children, because if he ain't gonna protect you, he ain't gonna protect them. So then they asked her about the soulmate comment, how she said her soulmate was in Tribeca. I didn't realize it was an actual person. I thought she was just saying her hypothetical rich man was there. I didn't know she actually meant it was a real person that she once talked to. And so for her to say, yes, Simon just laughed it off, it makes more sense why the cast thinks that he's using her for clout. Because once again, I feel like their relationship is very transactional. She's using him for money. He's using her for whatever popularity that she has. She was like, oh, I don't think he's with me for the clout because they don't have reality shows over in Germany. So this is new to him and he just, wants to experience. So he's using you for clout. And I don't care that he's a millionaire. You can have all the money in the world and people not ever know your name. You can't buy fame. Even Jasmine says she talked to Bria's mom and her mom pretty much feels the same way. Mind you, Bria was on her best behavior for whatever reason at this reunion. I don't know if she was doing that because of Andy, but I'm mad she didn't get put in the hot seat for her nasty attitude, because it was one of the worst of the season. Okay, she was very aggravating, and I cannot believe that nobody brought that up. So then we have Jasmine. Another thing that I hate that wasn't brought up, they didn't talk about Silas surprising her and seeing the baby for the first time. That was a beautiful moment that should have been touched on, as well as the fact that her mama has felonies. I want to know a little bit more. But anyway, Jasmine did call out Jordan for her ugly comment about Simon and implying that she doesn't know whether this is Simon's first child or not. It was just very unprovoked and unnecessary, especially to cast a negative light on something that's so beautiful and pure. She claims she didn't mean it as a personal dig. She's just being funny. And it's just like, that's very much mean girl behavior. Why do you think that's funny? Why do you think that's a joke? And you wouldn't have made a joke like that about any of the people that you're cool with. So that's how I know you were being nasty. And Jasmine was like, my biggest mistake was I didn't check you about your attitude sooner. Andy asked who missed Silas this summer. Nobody. A few people raised their hand. But I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe Silas needed to be there. Maybe he kept some order. I don't know. It was a little bit much going on this summer. It was very noticeable that Preston didn't raise his hand because he's line brothers with Silas. And pretty much he said that they have not talked. And it just begs the question of what happened. Then Andy asked, what has Jasmine done to be iced out pretty much? And Jasmine pretty much was like, I would love to know. What about the Jamaica crew? Maybe y'all need to speak up. Summer said that her and Jasmine had gotten into a disagreement, but they had made up right before the trip. And she ended up asking the rest of the group, should Jasmine be invited? And she said that Shanice was the first one to say no. And of course, Jordan said no. And Shanice just revealed herself to me as this ditzy follower that doesn't really have a mind of her own. If Jordan is Regina George and Summer is Gretchen, she is, what was the other blonde name? The one that was a little slow. That's what Shanice gives. You don't even have a personal problem with her. Why are you even piping up in that situation? And I love how Jasmine redirected it to Preston saying, what's your take on it? Because you met them through me. He got a little in his feelings and he was like, that doesn't mean the relationships will stay the same. And I'm just like, but that doesn't mean that you throw away the people that you knew before when they did nothing to deserve it. Because he didn't name one good reason why he wasn't cool with Silas and Jasmine anymore. Jasmine said she was hurt because he was supposed to be neutral, but he ended up taking Jordan's side and everything. And you are my husband's line brother and you was in our wedding. He basically said he didn't feel the need to check on her because he already knew everybody else didn't like her. So I guess he didn't feel the need to get her side. I guess her side doesn't matter when you hear from everybody else. I feel like Preston really exposed himself at this reunion because that's really fake and phony. You're going to take the side of who is popular at the time. Because at the time, Silas and Jasmine, a lot of people didn't like Jasmine in the house. I feel like she and Silas were getting a lot of backlash online, and I feel like Preston was trying to distance himself from that. Preston in general is very aggy to me now. I've seen a couple of interviews with him, and all of the long-winded Twitter social justice warrior jargon, word salad that he gives instead of just giving a straight up answer, it's just convoluted. Like, it makes me not want to believe anything that you're saying. You always dance around the conversation and never actually just spit it out. It feels disingenuous. And then on top of that, on the interview he did with the Brooke Ashley, he said that Bria and Shanice were the main ones who didn't want Jasmine to come on the trip. But in this moment, it was revealed that it was Shanice and Jordan. So once again, you're protecting Jordan when she's in the wrong. You never want to call her out. You don't have a problem calling other people out, but when it comes to Jordan, them lips are sealed. You'll never say a cross word about her, even if she's in the wrong. And I feel like that's a big reason why a lot of people lost respect for him. At some point, he's like, let's not reinvent history because it's convenient. She's like, let's not. Let's let it reflect what it is. Exactly. You're trying to say that about Jasmine, like she's trying to rewrite it. No, you're trying to rewrite history. You are the one that switched up and is acting different. Mind you, out of all those people, no one can name a solid reason as to why they dislike Jasmine. So then we get to Jordan. Why are you really mad at Jasmine? Yes, Jasmine was a little annoying, playing step for wife and trying to be a matchmaker and push her on Amir. Yes, but I just don't think it was malicious. I don't think she was doing it in a way trying to rub the fact that she had a husband in her face. I just feel like it came from a good place. And so I don't think it deserves all this vitriol coming her way. Jordan feels like she wasn't being authentic, but it's like Jasmine entered a different stage in her life. So yeah, she's gonna change a little bit. She's a wife now. She can't do the same things that she used to do. And Jasmine was like, some people you meet at a certain time in your life and things change and they can't adjust. And I feel like, you're trying to keep her in this same box that you met her in when she's evolved, and people evolve. And I saw online that Jordan is possibly jealous of Jasmine because Jasmine was the nucleus. She was like the main cast member last season, and Jordan wanted to be the center of this show, and she really isn't getting that sort of attention, that sort of screen time, especially this season. We really didn't even hear her speak in the last 4 episodes. She kind of really faded into the background, and really Jordan isn't interesting unless she's snapping on somebody. And even then, it's annoying. I honestly feel like this could have been a good segue into talking about her vile, nasty attitude. But, once again, she was on her best behavior in front of Andy, just like she is on the White Winter House show. Because she was not quick to snap in that house. In fact, they were snapping on her and sending her out the room crying. Once again, I feel like that is something that should have been addressed, because why do you feel so comfortable snapping on this group of black people, and when you get with the white people, you're being very humble and quiet? So then we have Nick, and we talk about the situation with Summer and Jordan feeling like he was being handsy with them. He addressed them, he apologized, he saw his behavior, and he said that he just didn't want to show up like that. That should have been end of story, right? Noelle, Bria, and Shanice, they didn't know that the situation had already been addressed with them. And I don't care. They cannot evade accountability because y'all still said that stuff. I don't care if Natalie ran and told it. Yeah, she need to be held accountable too, but she wouldn't have had nothing to tell had y'all not said it. 2, y'all still said it on camera. So regardless of whether she ran and told it or not, it still would have been out there for the world to hear. Y'all had no business creating that sort of narrative. Bria doubles down on the fact that she feels in a drunken state he would sleep with someone and cheat on his girlfriend. I feel like the same way Nick told Noelle, I know you just want to be included, I feel like the same thing with Bria. Last year, he slid in Shanice's DMs, he slid in Summer's DMs, I believe. He slid in Jordan's. but he didn't slide in yours. And I feel like you felt left out. He flirted with the other women, but he didn't necessarily flirt with you, and you want to be included. You were the one who said you wanted him to come sleep in your bed, and he said no. I just don't understand where she's going with that. Now, do I think that Nick was acting inappropriately to have a girlfriend? Yes, I definitely do. But not in every instance. People just want to dogpile. So it turns out him and Tasia have broken up, and he admits that he did embarrass her on television. He claims that was a factor in their breakup, but he doesn't think that was the entire reason. I personally feel like she got tired of looking crazy in front of everybody, because I'm sure it's not just on TV. I'm sure in her real life she looks crazy, and people are telling her that, and probably tired of waiting on him to value the relationship the way he should, because the way he was acting was wrong. Amir said that he had wandering eyes. This was another situation I feel like was blown out of proportion. I feel like he was throwing Nick under the bus in order to make himself look better to Natalie. Whenever he would call and say those things to her, like, oh yeah, he was looking at her while she was twerking. What did y'all really want from Nick in that situation? If a girl is gonna just run out and start twerking and flash everybody, you expect for him to just close his eyes or run out of the room every time something like that happens? She does it every night. She does it every time she gets a chance. It was like, it's not like I'm getting behind her while she's doing it. And then I love the fact that Nick brought up last year when she came out and flashed everybody at the brunch, he turned his back to it. Whenever she took off her top and went down the water slide, he turned and looked away. But you're gonna say that like he's constantly ogling her every time she does it. I feel like the better conversation should have been, why does Shanice feel like it's okay for her to just indecent exposure everyone without their consent? I feel like that should have been the conversation, if anything. But I hope that by the end of this reunion, Nick realized that Amir is not his friend, because every chance he got, he tried to throw him up under the bus. So then we moved on to Natalie. Nick thought it was strange that she felt the need to involve herself in any of this and be a bone collector. He was like, she's supposed to be visiting you. Why is she so concerned about all the mess that's going on in the house? And I'm going to add, she wasn't even paying attention to Amir half the trip. You were so mad that he left and worried about all the other women being on him. But when you're finally here, you barely pay attention to him half the time because you're too busy trying to get the gossip from over here and spread it over there. Amir tried to lie and say that she didn't even want to be in the conversations and drama, and everybody called him out real fast before he could even really get that out of his mouth. That's a lie. That's a lie. He was like, she was playing telephone like everybody does in this house. No, she was being a bone collector with things that did not concern her. She didn't even like the people in the house. She said she just doesn't vibe with them. But then you want to come in and stir up all this turmoil? Noelle, Shanice, and Bria said they told her not to go run her mouth, and she ran over to Tasia, petting her hair, and was trying to do it anyway. And she was doing it to get screen time, and both of y'all was trying to orchestrate that together. And Noelle was like, she made sure to say what everyone else did, but left out what she did and was on mute when the kitchen got too hot. And Noelle said in her interview that she confronted Natalie in that moment when she was telling other people to speak up, when Nick was going off on all of them. She said that she called out Natalie and was going off on her, and Natalie started crying and trying to get out of it. Nick, where was your smoke for Natalie? If Noelle really did call her out in that moment and exposed her, why were you not going off on her? She deserved to get the same smoke Bria, Noelle, and Shanice got. Andy asked Amir, does Natalie want to come back? And Amir was like, yeah, well, she wants a second chance because she didn't like the perception that the cast and the audience got from her, and she wants to clear her name. Not that she likes this group of people. She thought they were fun and she wants to get to know them as people. No, I just want to come in and clear my name. That is not a good enough reason to be on this show. Amir and Natalie need to be off this show. There's no way y'all should be bringing a non-black person on this show that started off as a show celebrating blackness, and she should be a main cast member. Absolutely not. And I love the way Nick said, if she wants to get to know someone, go have a conversation with them and not about them. That was a good read. So then they talk about the Mariah situation. Amir was still very unapologetic. I knew that apology to her was not sincere at all. He's nasty for not understanding that it's unhygienic to wash dog items with towels that humans use to clean their body. And then I don't understand how he was trying to evade responsibility for the fight, how nobody was speaking up in favor of Mariah, because you said yourself that you caused the fight. You could have easily spoken up and de-escalated the situation, but you didn't. Somebody please get this great value Drake off this show. So finally, Summer and Shanice have a conversation about Summer saying that Shanice can't dress. Basically, Summer doubled down on what she said and basically said everybody pretty much agreed with her. It's the fact that you knew what she was going through in that moment and you still don't feel wrong for saying that. You were wrong. Summer was like, but I tried to help her get clothes and she has money now and I still didn't like the outfit that she wore on Watch What Happens Live. Summer is a mean girl, period, to her core. And I don't understand, Shanice. How you more mad at Jasmine? You don't want Jasmine to come on a trip, and this is how Summer treats you. Anyway, and so Shanice piped up and said, well, you asked to borrow a sweater for me the next day, and I'm supposed to be the worst dressed. And she was like, I know how to pair it, and you don't. Let me just say this. Nobody on here is a fashionista except for Nick. Nick kills it every time, okay? Nick probably should start his own fashion page. He'd be looking good. But excluding him, none of y'all are fashion mavens, okay? I don't care if y'all are wearing name brand clothes. I'm not impressed by most of y'all's fashion. Shout out to the Brooke Ashley. I love her channel on YouTube. She asked this very shady question, asking, why are you always bragging about sleeping with these high status men but crying about money? And thank you. What's the point? What's the point? She was like, well, I don't date people just for money. I thought the whole point was to get money from them. So to wrap everything up, I think that Amir needs to go. I think that's clear. He doesn't really have real connections, or it doesn't seem like he truly wants to be around black people in general. Why are you on this black show? And take Natalie with you. I also think Shanice can go because she has a problem with confronting people and she's low-key a follower and she just really doesn't add much to the show other than woo! I don't think Jordan should be brought back. She brings nothing but a false bravado and a bad attitude. She's not open to like dating any of the men in the house. She barely said 2 words in the last few episodes. Nobody missed her. And break up this clique. I'm tired of this clique of Jordan, Summer, and Preston and them kind of ruling and gaslighting everybody in the house. I feel like they'll be more free to mingle. I was gonna say get rid of Bria and Summer, but you do need some conflict. I just think they should be there in small doses. I think y'all should bring people in the house that are fine, single, and ready to mingle. I'm interested in seeing how Nick operates as a single man in the house. So definitely bring him back. I would like to see Mariah to come back, possibly maybe Phil in small doses as well. Messiness. Heard they had like a little something going on. So that'll be a little interesting to see how that works. More activities, more fun, more people. But yeah, that's all I had to say about this reunion. Y'all let me know what y'all think down below. Do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? I'd love to hear your opinion. And I hope you enjoyed this video and I'll see you in my next one. Peace.